guys, welcome back to my channel. And I just got home from watching Speak No Evil. Ooh, Speak No Evil was so deliciously good and frustrating, and so I had to come home and come and talk about it. I saw this trailer about like a couple months ago when I was watching another movie. I think I was watching Alien when I saw the trailer, and I'm a big James McAvoy fan. I think he's such a great actor, and so of course when I see him in the trailer, I'm here. I'm here for the movie. And so we're going to get into a movie review, but we're also going to do some Blerd therapy, because of course the therapy mind sometimes doesn't stop, and when you're watching a movie you're like, this is the reason why this is this way and this is that. And so I'm going to put both of these together in this video, and so let's get into it. So if you don't want any spoilers, there'll be a timestamp where you can skip to the review and you can just see what I rated it, and you won't get any spoilers. So go now. But first we have to get into the Danish film first, because this is a remake. And so there was a Danish film made in 2022, same name, Speak No Evil, and it follows the same premise of there's a couple with a daughter who meets another couple with a son on a vacation. They have a good time, and so they go back home and they have these own personal issues, which basically is hindering the red flags. And so they're like, yeah, let's go on a weekend with these people I barely know in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, that sounds all right. No red flags here because they got a son. And so they go out there, right? And I did not watch the original movie. I did watch somebody react to it. I feel like it was the horror bandwagon. I feel like it was them. But it's been so long because it was right around the time that they had right around the time I watched the trailer, which is a couple months ago, and then my brain has washed away. But I feel like it was the horror bandwagon. Go follow them. I really like their horror movie reviews, reactions. And then I also watch Alanda. So those are like my peak people for like horror, even though I watch a couple different reactors. But yeah, those are my two favorite horror movie reactors, so go check them out. And so they go out to the vacation with them. All this weird stuff is going on. The red flags are red flagging, and because they got their own personal issues going on, they stay longer than they should, right? And of course, in the therapist in me is like, because we have not dealt with our personal issues, we now have loose boundaries. And our loose boundaries is allowing people to keep constantly crossing them and letting them run amok and do whatever they want all up in your space. And so at the end of that movie, the couple actually dies, and they kill the boy that they had with them, and then they kidnap their daughter. And that's the end of the movie. And so when we get into the 2024 one, they have changed a lot of stuff, right? Of course, it starts with the same premise. They're out having a good time, but it wasn't like a vacation. They actually lived out there, and they meet James McAvoy and his bae, and it's already looking kind of, they already test their boundaries, right? And so they test their boundaries by he's driving his family on the motorcycle, and he just allows the daughter to get on there and say, oh, I'm a driver. You don't know this man at all, and your thought process is, well, because his wife and son is here, I'm going to let him drive off with my daughter in his lap. My mom was already side-eyeing me, and I said, girl, I don't know what to tell you. She already looking like, you let your daughter get in this grown man lap that you do not know and driving around the block. Is you crazy? And what is that thing the young people say? Oh, is you cool? And so that's what starts out, because from the very beginning, he is testing their boundaries. And that's what people will do to you. They will test your boundaries to see, hey, what type of boundaries does this person have? How much can I get away with? And are you going to let me go all the way? Because that's how I know how much I can get from you. And so they're testing their boundaries. Like she said, she was vegetarian. He cooked some meat and fed it to her, and she put it in her mouth. She spit it out, but she faked like she ate the meat instead of telling that man, hey, pause, I'm a vegetarian, get that out of my face. And And so all these things are going on, all the red flags are flagging. The little boy is trying to tell the little girl, hey, these are not my parents. And the little girl's like, huh? I mean, even him showing her the photo album of the family, she's like, and he's like, as you can see, every time we get to a new family, the child is gone, the child is switching. And the girl, because they cut out his tongue, and so he couldn't talk. And so he was just trying to show her stuff to be like, girl, this ain't my family. And she's like, huh? And it wasn't until she looked at the picture and said, hey, ain't that your tongue? But James McAvoy is like very meticulous. His character is very meticulous. And so he is, he can tell when something is amiss. If you don't put anything back where it was, he's like, yeah, I can tell. And so they tried to leave multiple times. And even time they'll explain why they acting like weirdos and like, oh yeah, we'll stay. And so the girl has anxiety, and the mom is, oh, I want to get so deep into this, but this is a whole therapy subject. But I'm gonna stick to the story and I'm gonna get to it, I promise. So the girl has anxiety, and so she has her comfort bunny, right? And so the mom wakes up in the middle of the night, and they have their son and they have the couple's daughter in the bed with them. And so she takes her daughter and said, we got to get out of here. Even though she's been talking about from the beginning, they some weirdos, let's get out of here. But the husband's like, nah, you know, I really want to hang out with these people. I'm feeling alive because I lost my job and I don't feel like a man. You were sexting somebody and I just want to feel alive. And so it's like, man, we just gotta. And so he's trying to stay. But she's like, nah, let's get up out of here. Now they get down the road. They home free, right? And the girl's like, no, I gotta get my bunny. They're gonna do the same thing they did to the little boy, because the boy showed her the markings and stuff, and I don't know why she didn't say that from the beginning. But she's like, they're gonna do it like I did my bunny. These fools turned around. When I tell y'all, I'm in the movie theater like, girl, bye. I couldn't even hold it in. I was like, girl, bye. I'm yelling it in the theater. Because who going back for a bunny? Not I, said the cat. So they go back for the bunny and they explain, oh, we lost our baby at 12 weeks and I'm just overprotective of your daughter because I lost my daughter. And of course, I feel so bad for you crossing my boundaries because you haven't dealt with your issues. Hold that thought. This is a lesson. Just because somebody's going through something does not mean that gives them a pass to cross your boundaries.
Message.
They need to deal with their stuff on their own, and they still need to respect your boundaries in the process, even if they're going through something. So, message. And so, of course, they stay again, and then he start yelling at the son because he wasn't dancing right and stuff like that. And they're like, oh man, now we really gotta go. Okay. And then the wife convinced him, hey, you know, he was just drunk a little bit. He's going through some stuff. You know, just say goodbye to him and then you can leave. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, but at this time, the little boy, he on his detective, he on his spy stuff. And so he get the keys from James McAvoy and shows the little girl the family pictures and stuff like that. This is when it happens. After all this stuff didn't happen, shows him the family pictures, and she finally understands. They take pictures of it. Now, mind you, as soon as I got those pictures, guess what? I am emailing them to somebody. You don't even have to have people because they were in a whole nother country because the job fell through for the dad. And so they was in a country where they didn't know nobody. I tell you right now, I don't even care. I'm sending this back to my people in America just so they know, hey, call 911 and let them know that they need to contact somebody in here to come and help us. But that's just me. That's one thing I would have did for sure. I would have went back for the bunny. And I also would not have I would have emailed the pictures to somebody in America that I knew or something like that, just so you have the evidence, just in case I go missing. You know, it just doesn't get, you know. But I also would have told somebody the address to where I was going if I only met this couple once, if I decided I was gonna go, which I wasn't gonna go. But so then the little girl finds out a way to show her mom. Her mom was like, okay, we gotta act normal. I'm gonna get your dad. We're gonna show him all the stuff and we're gonna get out of here. James McAvoy already peeping. These people know what I'm up to. I'm already peeping. So they was being complete weirdos as they were trying to get out the door to leave. So they get out the door to leave and he's like, oh yeah. And me, I'm thinking technically it's 4 against 2 because the little boy is trying to leave too. I would have jumped him. I said, hey, what we gonna do is we gonna look for some weapons up in here, and then when we get out here, we gonna jump them. That's what I would have did, right? That's what I would have did. But they ain't on my type of time because I'm thinking 4 against 2. I got you. You ain't got your weapons on you yet and stuff like that. And like there was a time where the tire was broken, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fix it." He would have got down right there. I would have whacked, got him out the way. But that's just me. But yeah. And so then he made him get on a ladder to get the bunny that he done ripped up. And I said I would have jumped off the ladder on top of his head. Now we better get the scrapping. But you know. So then they try to leave, and they try to leave, and they're trying to pull out and stuff, and they try to get the little boy to come with them. They ask the little boy to get the gate. He's like, actually, I got a remote gate. Beep beep. And so as they're trying to leave out the gate, James throws the boy. Okay, first of all, his name is like Patty in the movie, but because of the actor, I keep calling him James. Anyways, James throws the boy in the water to get them to stop from leaving. Now, this is where me and my mom disagree. I can't swim. So in my head, I'm thinking, first of all, if this little boy passes away, y'all gonna have to find a whole nother kid, and that was gonna be hard. So I feel like I would have still drove off. Don't judge me. I still would have drove off because I was like, you gonna have to save that kid because we gone. And so you just using that to keep me here. I would have drove off and said, you know what? I hope he makes it, but at this time I can't help them. So I would have drove off. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Ooh,
Go
you're
ahead,
trash.
shame.
You're a trash human being.
Shame me.
Shame on you. Shame on the house
It's
of God.
okay. My mom said she would have stopped for the kid. She said she wouldn't have did it. But so he jumped. The husband gets out. He said, get in the driver's seat and keep driving. And he jumps in the water for the boy. She didn't keep on driving, so he had a time to close the gate before she can get out. And so then they got all the family together, and yeah, we about to kill you. He's about to drug him up and stuff like that. Mom is mommying, right? Even though she has her own separate issues, she was like, ain't no way I'm not making it out of this. So she done got a box cutter before they even left out the bathroom. See, she on my type of time. She got a box cutter, done sliced man in the face, and wrestled the gun out of the mom's hand. And then the daughter got a weapon and all types of stuff. I said, yeah, we trying to survive, right? Husband doing nothing. If I wasn't frustrated at the beginning of the movie that they was just letting all these red flags go by, but that's what we do in life. Sometimes we just let red flags go by. But this is a life or death situation, so I'm gonna have my frustration. But when we talk about just normal red flags in the real world, we got to give people some grace. We always got to give people some grace. But this is a movie, so let me be frustrated and say, girl, I would have did it so differently. But yeah, so then they're fighting for their lives. I won't get into every detail of the fight, right? But all I know is that husband didn't step up at any point. The things that he was dealing with internally was still affecting him, and he did not face that head on in order to protect his family. That's just my personal opinion, right? His stuff was too much, right? So like, he didn't know what to do. He was in this situation and he didn't know what to do. But mom stepped up, right? Mom was getting people left and right. Mom stepped up, daughter stepped up, pseudo son stepped up. But in the end, it did not end like the Danish film, and they were able to get away. It was a kind of happy ending, because when I left the movie, all I could think was, when we get home, I'm divorcing you. Because, you just have to notice when when you're not compatible with somebody. And if I'm out here fighting for my life, fighting for my family, and you can only do so much. And I hate to say it like that, but I was at the end of the movie, I was like, I would have divorced this man. But at the very beginning, I would have, because there was a lot of lines crossed. But at the same time, they were both allowing them to cross the line at the end of the day. But mom was like, she found it, and she said, you know what, I can't keep looking to someone else to set those boundaries. I have to set those boundaries myself.
Message.
Now let's think about this from a therapy perspective. And so let me pull up my boundaries. And so this is a perfect example of loose boundaries and people pleasing, and what anxious attachment looks like. I talk about it a lot. If you go back and look at my previous videos, I talk about this a lot. And so I'm just pulling up this little excerpt that I put together. It's for a presentation that I usually do, but I want to show you guys what I'm talking about here. This is what loose boundaries look like, unless anyone close to them. You did not know those people from a needle in a haystack. And so the fact that you felt comfortable going to a house in the middle of nowhere with some people you did not know is alarming. So we have to, and so overly trusting, even to strangers. There was no, and when we think about overly trusting, in this, the wife was alarmed, right? She was alarmed, but because they had their own personal relational issues going on, she wanted to please him because they had their own things going on. So she was allowing a lot of stuff to go on that she did not agree with, because she wanted to restore her marriage, right? And so understanding that there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance in between restoration of marriage and fixing things and repair, but also not sacrificing your own personal morals and boundaries in order to do so, right? So we have to think about that when we think about repair. Even if you're the offending partner because she was sexting somebody, we still have to have an all-around respect for each other. But it is a lot of work to repair when you're the offender. So there's just some things to think about. So overshares personal information. They told those people that we just moved here, we know nobody around here, this is what I do, this is why I don't have a job. All of this in the first 15 minutes of meeting each other. Like, no. These are strangers, and you never want to tell somebody that you don't know that you're in an unknown place where you don't know nobody. Rule of thumb, never. Has difficulty saying no. They was not saying no at all. It's not even a difficulty. They were literally not saying no to anything. There was a part where they had a babysitter come over, which is another grown man that was a stranger, to watch the kids. And she's like, the kid's not coming with us? No, it's going to be a little couples thing. No, because I don't know this man and I don't know you. So my daughter is coming everywhere with me. But they just allowed a lot of stuff to happen, which is said that he said in the movie. They say, why are you doing this to us? He said, because you let me. That's why. At no point did you say no. At no point did you tell me to stop. And that's what it's like in the real world of like, we would love for people to be the same type of people that we are, right? We would love for them to be that way. But we have to understand that we're all our own individual human beings. And as such, we have to have good, healthy boundaries in order to keep people who are not for us at bay. We can't expect people who don't, live the same life as us, has different, opinions, have different, ways, to see about stuff, ways of parenting, ways of just living life, right? We have to be able to still live the life the way we would like to, and not an expectation of what we think others should live their life. We should always treat them as somebody who is probably going to have a different way about going about things. And so overly involved in others' problems. In this situation, I don't know if this applies, but I know for a fact the reason why they stayed so long is because every time there was an issue, they say, oh my gosh, I apologize, I have this going on. Right? So I would agree, okay, over involved in other problems is basically every time they had an issue, they would explain it out the way. Oh my gosh, I lost the baby. I don't care who you lost. My daughter will never be in the bed with you. I'm talking like I have a daughter. I don't have a daughter, but if I did, understanding that there's no way you can explain away why is my daughter in the bed with you. You are not her, because she wanted to like her to be her daughter. You are not her mother. You're not supposed to be correcting her, because there was a point where she was trying to mother the daughter in front of the other mother, and she's like, girl, this is my daughter, right? I don't care what you got going on, but over here, you can't be doing that over here. Quick to adopt others' opinions. And then I would say this in relation to the husband. The husband had a lot going on. The husband is probably going through depression, low self-worth. And so he was adopting the lifestyle of the couple. He saw the couple, he's like, oh my gosh, this guy is a man's man. They're having fun. They're so in love. And right now my marriage is broken. My wife was, sexing another man. I lost my job and I don't know what to do with life. And now I'm feeling really low. And so, oh man, I really just want to enjoy this couple because they are the epitome of what I would want to be. Because I am so upset with myself about what's transpiring in my life. Avoids conflict by giving in to others. Both of them were doing this, and I would go so much more heavy on the wife because the husband really wanted to. Yeah, both of them were doing it. But I feel like the wife was more of, she was trying to please her husband because of the infidelity. And so because of that, she was letting a lot of stuff go on that she didn't agree with. And she kept looking to her husband to enact boundaries. And she was looking, but she was also people pleasing because the anxious attachment, because I have messed up. And maybe if I keep going along with it, that, it will help my relationship. And then he was, because you're emulating something that I feel like I have failed in and I haven't done with that, the losses that I've had, the job loss, the loss of what my marriage used to be and things of that nature, because I haven't dealt with that. I'm trying to avoid conflict because I want to stay here with the people who's emulating what I wish I was and stuff like that. And so I'm not going to poke the bear. I'm not going to poke this man, this strong man. And so I'm going to let stuff just happen. Does not assert personal values. The vegetarian thing, you fake ate meat because you didn't want to impose, because they cooked the meat even though he knew you was vegetarian to begin with. And then communicates passively. There's a lot of passive communication, but a lot of times it just got written off. Every time they try to set a boundary, and every time they try to set a boundary and the couple explained it away, they were like, oh, you know what, it's okay, it's all right, it's okay, it's all right, even though I know for a fact I have a problem with this. Instead of me being assertive and saying, hey, I have a problem with this and it's not going to transpire again, I'm going to slightly tell you I have an issue with it in like again, in a passive way, but then I'm just going to retract it back, right? And so yeah, if you want to pause it and see the different type of boundaries, and you can also see what would it look like for it to be healthy in them, and you can kind of like use the examples and make your own examples. I also wanted to pull up the anxious attachment, and so you can understand what's going on in that area. Want to feel close, but need is driven out of fear, constantly seeking validation, frequently arguing about how committed the other person is to the relationship, having a paralyzing fear that the relationship will end, feeling discomfort with being alone, lack of self-worth and self-esteem. And so that's very much, to me, that's very much what the husband is going through. And attachment is, linked to past stuff. And since we don't have that because this is a movie, you can just infer did he have anxious attachment because of something that's going on with the parents and stuff? Well, they talked a little bit about it. Let me see if I can remember. I know the couple had issues. That's a whole nother thing, and I don't even think I want to get into that, because it's kind of hinting at the fact that he got her when she was still like a teenager, and kind of basically Stockholm syndrome her. That's a whole nother ball game, right? And then he has some type of parental issue too that makes him very angry and wanting to do all those things. But we're just wanting to talk about the couple and how do we get here? How do we get in danger when we have loose boundaries, right? And so I would give anxious attachment, maybe to both of them, but in two completely different ways. But hers is very much, because he has low self-worth and self-esteem stuff going on, she is trying to people please into fixing how he feels about himself. And I talk a lot about how we can't want it more than the other person, and we can't make the person feel better about themselves. We're not fixers. We can't fix someone. Someone has to want to change on their own, work through their own issues on their own. And so that starts with self. No matter what we do, we can't magically, make them feel better about themselves when it's a personal issue. And so when we're thinking about treatment wise, I would say you guys need individual. Yeah, this is a very individual therapy first situation, because she also talks about that her husband was very angry, or like had something going on before any of this stuff transpired. It was just kind of one of those things where this is what we call like adjustment, where a bunch of things happen in like a short period of time that's basically making you feel worse about yourself. We can't give you the diagnosis of depression yet, because if we resolve the job loss, if we resolve, the having to move to a whole nother country, because that has issues within its own of like having to deal with the culture shocks and things of nature. If we resolve those things, will it resolve in 6 months, right? But he probably will get like a depression diagnosis later on, because she says that it's been going on for a while, even before then. So we have to go back and he has to go back and work on all those. What was in the past? What was the start of this? That's where I always start when we talk about attachment. How was your attachment built? What were your parents like, or like your guardian, what was like, and how did that form your attachment, and work our way up to here and now to see what transpired to how we got this way here and today. So that's what I work with him. With her, I will work with her on like the anxious attachment of people pleasing, and then being able to hold her own boundaries. I would do boundary work for both of them, but being able to hold her own boundaries, again, being able to care for your partner without sacrificing your morals, sacrificing your boundaries, is very big, and it's very hard to do when you're super close and they're their day-to-day or your rider. It's much harder to have boundaries than it is with an everyday stranger. So if you have a hard time having boundaries with an everyday stranger, just think about how it is when it's with your loved one, right? And so her being able to stand in that and understand that it's his own personal thing that he has to work on, and you did not cause this is not on you. This is something that he just has to work with inside himself, and it's not something that you have to fix. That's kind of what I worked on with her. And also working on the control issue, because it's very much that she's giving, and we have to think about that. We have to think about emotional regulation and managing our own emotions, because that's where our children look to for emotional regulation. They look to us. They look to their parents for emotional regulation. So if your emotions are all over the place, it's going to create emotions all over the place for your children. So if your children can see, hey, mom and dad know how to regulate their own emotions, then I know how to regulate mine. So because all this stuff was transpiring, mom was putting all her anxious feelings into her daughter. That's just from what I saw. Don't quote me on that. That's just what I see. And so daughter was very, very anxious because mom, because she can't control what's going on in her life at the time, she has uprooted her life for her husband's job opportunity. She has lost her own job, and we're just kind of in like this place of, purgatory, basically. And because our relationship has not been good for actually a long time, now I'm going to put all my energy into controlling something I can. And what I can do is control everything that my daughter is doing, right? So she's like, yeah, you can only have this, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. And you can see it all throughout the movie, her like trying to micromanage her daughter. And then when you do that, your child is not understanding, hey, how do I regulate my emotions? Now that I can't regulate my emotions, because I don't have the autonomy to do so, now I'm anxious. I need my bunny. I don't know how to, and that's not the only way you can get anxiety. This is just talking about in relation to this movie only, right? There's a lot of different ways you can gain anxiety, but I'm just talking about in relation to when other parts of our life, so we feel like we can't control it. Sometimes we go to the other end and we find something that we can control so that we can feel like we're in control, because I can't deal with the stuff that's out of control. Hope that makes sense. Let me know. I hope it makes sense. And so she's creating this anxiety inside her daughter. So I will also work on that, of being able to self-emotionally regulate. And then how do I teach that to my daughter so that she can emotionally regulate as well? So that's the two things I work with them. And then also get daughter in therapy for her anxiety, right? They were already doing good things with her having her emotional support bunny. I mean, even though it was an issue in the context of horror movie, but just talking about in therapy terms, she had an emotional support bunny. She had her, they had a breathing app for her to help her calm herself down, and a breathing app. So they were doing good work of like trying to do that. But we always have to get to the root and the cause of what's going on. Sometimes there's not a root and cause. Okay. I'm just going to put that out there. But if there is, we first have to explore, hey, why are we having these anxious feelings? Where are they originating from? And how can we resolve that hopefully in order to decrease the anxious feelings? And family therapy, right? Because even if all this didn't happen, she's probably gonna divorce him anyway, because they were at this point incompatible, and I mean, they could have worked it out. I take that back. But they were headed there. Unless they worked on it. It sounds like they were already going to therapy, actually. So they probably could have worked it out. Probably. They probably could have worked it out. They were in therapy and they were trying to work through things. So I'm not gonna say if for a fact if they could or not. Even though it's just a movie, I can basically say my opinion. But if two people want to do the work, I think they can move through a lot of different things. Ooh, I said a lot, but hopefully you learned something from that. And even if you just learned something from the infographics that I put up, I hope that it's helpful, because again, if we don't have good and healthy boundaries, if we don't work on our attachment styles, people will run amok in your life. And I'm not going to say they're necessarily bad people. They're not all murderers and serial killers, but you will find yourself in situations for days, months, years where you're like, dang, how did I end up here? And it's like, because we have to start with self, and we have to work through the things that we've been through so that we can enact healthy boundaries and a healthy attachment, so that we can keep the good people who love us around us, and keep the people who want to use us, or people who have not dealt with their own issues, at bay as they work on it. So if we get into the review, yes, we're finally at the review. If we get into the review, I give a plot A. I love the plot. It's given very much, they say horror drama. It also gives me a little bit of thriller, just waiting to see, hey, when you're going to figure out that this is a bad thing. But it's very, very much drama, because they really play into these little like small scenes of, just talking about their past, and, having to hash out, relational issues and things like that. So it's given very much drama. And then turning into a horror plot twist that you're thinking, because it could have very much went into a drama type of movie where we resolve our issues or we go our separate ways. but it went into, a killer fest. Acting, I give it an A. James McAvoy is always going to kill it, but everybody really killed it in this. And the way that they convey, I always talk about conveying emotions, right? And so, his wife, oh, her name was Sierra. I guess I didn't know his wife's name the whole movie. But see, Sierra was very much given Stockholm syndrome, the way she kept switching back and forth between riding with my boo and please take me with you. And Mackenzie Davis, I've seen her in a lot of movies, but she did well, as good as well. And the little boy with his detective skills and things of that nature, and the girl Agnes displaying anxiety really well, and how that comes to play. So I was like, everybody killed it, and especially with his name is Scoot McNairy. He did a really good job of showing like how he was kind of like riding the fence of emotions of like, oh, this is a problem, but he was very much passive the whole time. Even when they found out, hey, these people killing people, he was still very much passive and very much it felt like in his brain he was deciding, is this still worth leaving? After even finding out, hey, it looks like they're killing people, his face was still very much given defeat, right? Very much low self-worth, very much defeat throughout the whole time. And I thought that was really good when you're trying to display that of like, there's like a lot of times the movies be like, oh, he had all this stuff going on, but now we're taking the reins and we're getting out of here. But it was very nice to see mom step up and show, hey, I'm revealing this is my stuff and I'm taking accountability, but now it's time to put my boots on and get to work. But then you also have the husband is showing sometimes we don't put our boots on. Even in the most extreme situations, sometimes it's just too much emotionally. So I'm glad it showed both sides of that, of like, sometimes we put our boots on and get to work, and sometimes it's still not enough to put the boots on. But I'm still riding with you, but it's not enough for me to put the boots on and really tackle what's going on. I was like, peak acting. Scarability, I guess scarability to see is very much average, but it's more based in like the drama of it and what's going on in between the different dynamics to me than it is about scarability, right? Just seeing the different dynamics play out is more important. The drama is more important than the scarability to me. I think that's where the scarability is rooted in, is just watching these people constantly get the boundaries crossed. And if you're a person who at some point in your life had loose boundaries, had anxious attachment, and you just constantly letting people cross it, probably a little bit triggering. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's probably a little bit triggering because it's very much starts out as small things, right? It very much starts as small things that you wouldn't think is a boundary crosser, right? But now you have to go back and look and say, actually, yes. And now I see where I need to actually start. We think we need to start at the big things. When I catch my daughter in this person's bed, when really it should be way before that, when he thought he could put my daughter on that bike and go drive off with her just because it's like a little fun vacation. So it's like little small things that you think are not that big. Oh, his wife and his son is here. Yeah, she could take him for a little ride around the block and it's okay. No, we need to be up here saying, nah, man, I don't know you. So if you think about that in your life of like maybe taking some time out to be like, I know this is small, but I need to address it right here and now. Because once that small thing gets through, they're like, they let that small thing get through? Give me $20. Now give me $100. Now let me in your house and stay rent free. And so it's like you see how the things build up. And so it's important to, and then you're not going to get it all right on the first try. It's about, practicing boundaries and being able to hold that. And that just takes time, right? And so then the visuals, I give the visuals a B, because it was pretty standard. But James been in the gym. He was, that's not right because he was the killer. But he been in the gym doing his thing. It's given very much Is it called Split? Yes, okay, it's called Split. Because there's another movie, is it Split or Spice or something like that? I don't want to mix it up. But it's giving very much Split in the gym, and it sees like he ain't take no breaks. He ain't take no breaks. He's still been in that gym. He got even beefier. But the visuals for the movies were very much standard, on par. Very, very good. Very good, very standard. And so I gave that a B. And so my final grade for this movie was a B plus. A B plus. I feel like it would have been a little bit more scarier if they were caught for longer than they were. I mean, they were fine. The ending went a little bit fast, and it would have been nice if, like, because it was building up so much of the drama and things of that nature. So it's like you had to sacrifice one or the other so the movie is not too long. So you either had to have a smaller amount of drama and more scarability, or you had to have less scarability and more drama. And so they picked the more drama and the less scarability. And so I probably would have liked it either way, but from a therapist perspective, the drama part was juicy. The drama part is juicy. So that's why I gave it a B plus. And so yeah, this is my movie review and Blerd therapy of Speak No Evil. And again, it was just deliciously good. It was just deliciously good. I can't even speak. And so I hope you check the movie out. I hope you go see it in theaters, or if you're coming here afterwards, I hope you like my review, and make sure you look in the comments below if you agree or disagree with me, or you just want to leave your review in the comments below. I love to read it and respond to it. But make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you're in the know the next time I post another video. All right, bye.